Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I have Olivia Alford here with me today. How you doing, Olivia?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm happy to have you here. And I just want to start off by saying hello to all of our people out there, whether you be on Roku TV, Apple TV, E360 TV, Amazon Fire, Facebook, YouTube. I appreciate you. We are in for another spirited conversation with a phenomenal guest. And without further ado, Olivia, where are you from?
I am actually from Southeast Missouri. I live in Tallahassee, Florida now, but I am from Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Okay. Have you seen a show called Ozark?
I have not.
Okay.
I believe I have.
Ozark is a show that talks about Missouri, things that either fictionally or loosely, non-fictionally have occurred in Missouri, and so that's my only real glimpse into it. As as crazy as that sounds, can you talk to me about what Missouri was like for you? What was it like?
Well, I'm from a smaller town, so maybe like when people think of Missouri, they think of St. Louis, but I was about 3 hours from there when you're
Okay,
driving the speed limit. And so it was a very small town. Everybody knew everybody. Um, and I was there for 27 years, so I knew everybody. But it was Missouri. It was Poplar Bluff. Um, yeah.
how did your family get to Missouri?
Well, we're all from Missouri. My mom, she's actually from Haytown, Missouri, which is a smaller town. And then my dad, he's from Porterville, Missouri. So those are smaller towns. And my mom moved to Poplar Bluff when we were younger. So I was born in Hayti, but I was raised in Poplar Bluff. So
Okay,
yeah,
these are areas I've never heard of before,
yeah,
and
they're
so
small.
yeah, can you talk to me about the culture there? What did it sound like? What did it look like? What was going on? And yeah, maybe around 5 years, 5 or 6 years old. Let's talk around then.
Well, 5 or 6 years old for me is the things that I remember. It was just life, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and just into growing up, it was Poplar Bluff, Hayti, all of them is like very segregated. Like there's black, there's white. But as I was growing up, my friends were just my friends of all
Okay.
colors.
Okay.
So that's basically what that
So it
is.
was a diverse community for you.
For me, yes.
Yeah. Well,
As a
yeah.
person.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes when people describe the environment that they grew up in, sometimes it was all black or it was all white, or it was diverse. Would you say that yours was diverse?
I would say that it was black. It was majority black. I just went to a school where I think a lot of my friends were more white because I kind of fit in better there.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Okay. And what was your relationship like with your mother and father?
it was it was difficult.
Mm.
Um, it was very difficult. It's still difficult. Um, my dad was not in the home. My dad was outside of the home. So when I would go visit him, it was just going to see my dad. With my mom, there's just like so much brokenness on both of their parts. I'm not sure. I know they parented well, the best they knew how to do with what they knew, what they know. But the relationships there, it was very, very, if I can just say and be candid, it's very toxic
Hmm.
environment growing up. So
What was it that made it a toxic environment?
um, there was a lot of um, there was a lot of abuse.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah.
Now, as you progress through elementary school,
Hmm.
what was that experience like for you? I mean, into third to fifth grade, you're obviously starting to understand your world a little bit more. What was elementary school like for you?
As I was saying, I was pretty much an outcast. Um, I didn't fit in really with. Um, I didn't really fit in. anywhere. The friends that I did have, like I said, they were Caucasian. Most of those were, but I didn't really fit in. I never fit in. So
I find this to be very compelling. The life that you're describing at this point in your journey. Chastity Curry's in the building. She says, "Hello, how you doing,
hi,
Chastity?"
Chastity.
You didn't feel that you fit in. Also, we have Carrie Ann Raphael in the building. She says, "Hello,
Hi,
how you doing,
Carrie.
Carrie?" Now, you said that you didn't fit in, and I am thinking that a lot of young people, a significant amount of young people, have experienced this.
Hmm.
And I want the greater community to understand what that feels like and what that means and how that comes about for kids. How was it that you were an outcast? Were you not able to play volleyball like everybody else, or what was the reason why you were outcast?
I was just different.
Mhm.
Just like I said, a lot of because of the traumatic experiences, because of the things that I walked through as a kid, a lot of my childhood I don't actually remember. Um, and I know that trauma causes that. But what I do remember, I didn't fit in at home, but I also didn't fit in at school. And so when you don't fit in at home, when you're not accepted for who you are at home, or you're made to, like your uniqueness is not accepted, then you automatically, I guess you tend to pull towards people who just don't get you. And
Yeah.
so you just feel that way about everybody. Nobody gets me. Nobody understands.
Mhm.
Um, and like I am kind. I've always been kind. And I was a bit naive to believe that everybody else was super kind and just meanness
Mhm.
just wasn't the thing. And
Mhm.
so when you don't have what you need at home, when you don't get those emotional needs met, when you don't get certain needs met, then you look for it outside. And kids can be cruel,
Yes, they can. Yeah, they
um,
can.
and not because they just want to be cruel, because they're dealing with their own stuff, but you're looking for what you actually need. You're looking for nurture. You're looking for acceptance in areas that you really can't get it,
That's
you
right.
know.
That's right.
So I think that was the biggest thing, is I was looking for something that they could not give me,
Mhm.
you know. So
Were you an introvert during the formative years of your life?
um I don't think so.
Okay.
I was an extrovert.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
So it was a kind of like, hey everybody, what's going on? All right,
Yes.
you don't want to give me that back. All right, see you later.
That myself.
Yeah, that was
um, but except when I was a kid, I would go sit in the corner by myself. But y'all don't want to talk to me. I want to go sit,
right.
by myself. So it was, you learn how to be by yourself.
Hmm. Do you
And
have brothers and sisters?
I do. I am the oldest of 11 total. Um,
Wow.
right, five, five my mom's side, and then six of my dad. And yes, I'm the oldest. So.
Wow. Now, I mean, I want to know what was going through your mind. You're an extrovert. People are not socializing with you the way that you want to socialize with them. How did you cope with that? Did you become a reader? Did you be like what did that manifest into? Like how did that isolation show up in your life as you entered middle school?
Well, I was really, really smart. I'm still really smart, but I was really, really smart. I
Mhm.
think that I dived into, because I wasn't into sports, mainly because we didn't have, when, my parents, they don't take you to games. They don't take
Yeah.
you to,
Mhm.
so you don't have that. So I was really, really in the books.
Mhm.
And I was real big on my grades. Now, when I was in middle school, I had a very smart mouth. A big attitude, big personality,
Mhm.
and my my days at school was my escape from home, from the home life, from to, the toxic,
Toxicity.
yeah, in my
Yeah.
home,
Mhm.
from the abuse, from the just all of that. It was my escape. So when I did go to school, I was safe
Mm.
from that, except I still did not fit in. And so when you add in not fitting in, and then you're really smart, and I was a know-it-all, you know, because I felt like I knew it all. That just doesn't mix well, you know.
Right.
So
I'm feeling like how could you not be somewhat of a know-it-all when you're the only person in your social circle to know? You do have to know it all, so to speak, because it's not like you got a bunch of people, bouncing their thoughts off you. You're bouncing your thoughts off yourself,
right, yeah,
you know? And it also sounds like you were communicating for some sort of community that wasn't happening. And so now you allow mouth because nobody's talking back to you.
right.
And so, but meanwhile, you're intelligent. Did you get good grades in middle school?
Oh yes, straight A's.
Great A's. Wow.
Yes. Yes, and I would get upset when I did not get an A, and I had a question about why I didn't get an A.
Who
Like,
instilled that? Who instilled that in you? Where'd you get that from?
honestly, I believe that came from my mom.
Mhm.
Like I said, though she walks her own, you know, she's walked through her own stuff. I see the great things that I got from her. You know, my
Mhm.
mom's extremely intelligent. She's very smart, and so I do feel like that came from her.
Mhm.
You know,
Talk
yeah.
about some other positives of your mother.
My mom is a hard worker. She is, if you know that term, in your bag.
Yeah.
If anybody can be in there, I got that from her. She's a hard worker. She's very, very intelligent. Um, my mom's beautiful, and she instilled faith. You know, even though we were walking through what we were walking through, um, she was the one that was praying. She had us in the circle. I remember when we were younger, and she would get us all together, and she's like, "Y'all come, let's go pray." And I was the curious kid, and so we'd be standing there holding hand, and she'd be praying like old school prayers where they're speaking in tongue and spitting and doing all of
Mhm.
that. And so I would have like one eye open, like, Lord, please don't let her spit on me, you
Right.
know. But she pulled us together, no matter what hardship we were walking through, no matter what she was dealing with what she was dealing with. That woman prayed, and then she also Psalms 91 is a scripture that I go to, and that came from my mom. You know,
Mhm.
so there are amazing things that she instilled in me, that she taught me, that I just, you know, I also learned by observing, and so I watched her survive, you know,
Mhm.
situations that should have taken her out. So yeah.
It's very, very powerful how you point out that while your mother was dealing with, the adversities of her life, that
Mhm.
she still possessed positives.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that you saw those positives and that those positives influenced you.
Right.
That to this day you read Psalms 91.
Hmm.
And I
Absolutely.
want I want to pass along that encouragement to our entire audience tonight. If you have a mother in your life, or you had a mother in your life, or you yourself are a mother, get in your bag. Y'all know what that means. It
Yes.
means focusing on the positives in your life, focusing on that which you can do, and having an influence where you can, especially over your life and over your children. Each and every one of us needs to get in our bag. That's right. No matter what the adversities are, get in your bag. I love that. I love that. And then she showed you the power of speaking over your life.
Hmm.
Speaking over your life, which is something that will prevail as one of the anchors of survival through your own adversity. We have 440,000 youth in the foster care system. Many of them have experienced abuse, neglect, and dependency. But what we're also raising awareness about tonight is that those young people, even though they got taken away from their parents, they got something valuable from those parents. They are carrying something that is helpful and valuable that they gained from their parents. And so we can never do too much understating the relationship between the parents and the children. They watch and they observe. Chastity Curry says, hashtag in my bag. Now, as you transitioned into high school,
Hmm.
was your father at least available to have conversations with you about relationships and protecting yourself? And was any of that happening?
No, it wasn't. I don't believe my dad was in a position mentally to emotionally unavailable. I don't believe he was in a position himself to do that. I heard a great quote by T.D. Jakes, I believe in 2005, that really helped me to walk in forgiveness with both of my parents, especially my dad. And it was, God gave you your parents for a reason. I'm going to paraphrase it. But they could only take you so far. They got you here, and so if they were not in your life, and that means to me now, like my parents got me here and they did what they could do. And then the rest of this, God has brought people along in my life that I've needed for each season of my life to help me get to the next phase, of life. So, though he wasn't there, and I won't say that I did not make horrible decisions because of that. I came out okay.
Yeah. I'm happy that you did. We're gonna learn more in the second half of this show. Exactly how you came out, and are you able to speak of any positive attributes from your father?
Oh, absolutely. My dad is a character, and I
Mhm.
got that from him.
Mhm.
He has a sense of humor. He's very sarcastic, and he knows how to mix the two. And my mom as well. And I got that honest.
Mhm.
I got it. And my dad is also he works hard. My dad loves in his own way. When we would go visit him, um, I mean, like the thing that God gave me was my dad. I had to think about how was his parenting, how was his dad to him,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we repeat cycles,
that's right.
and so he did what he could do, and that is, maybe I didn't see you guys all the time, but I saw you.
Mhm.
Maybe I wasn't the best dad, but I did come to get you. And I don't
Mhm.
know the relationship between him and my mom. I don't know what happened. I don't know
Right.
that. I just know that I feel like he did the best he could. My dad is, I think the biggest thing I got from him, and what I know about him, because I know that some of the intelligence comes from him too.
Mhm.
But his sense of humor and just the ability to laugh at life, no
That's right.
matter what you're going through. My
Yeah.
dad has that.
Right.
He
Right.
can. Yeah, so I believe that both of them, they possess like spirits of fortitude, and I believe I got that from both of them. So
Wow.
yes.
See, we're talking about your parents, but we're also talking about you. We're talking about your makeup when we talk about your parents. And I want to share this, that we all have to realize in the bigger picture that historically people have been treated certain ways around the world. And no, it wasn't just African Americans who were treated in certain ways. It was a little bit of everybody. And as a result of all of our forefathers being treated certain types of ways, they have trauma that shows up. And when I have barbershop conversations with elders or veterans or people who are just older than me, it appears that they didn't always know about personal development,
Right.
how to overcome their trauma. We have Emery Curry in the building. He says, "Greetings, everyone." Our forefathers didn't always have the information of how to heal,
Right.
how to correct their behaviors. It's almost like I know what I know sort of thing. The hand that I was dealt in my life, it causes me to show up this way. And if you are able to be a member of the next generation who shows up differently because you were able to self-heal, because you were able to forgive, and you were able to present more of those positive attributes inside, I'm calling you gifted. I'm calling you an answer to the pressure and the hard times and the adversities that your family faced. If you are someone who is able to present your best self, out of what your whole family's been through after all these years, and then you're gonna be a shining light. I look at that and I say, what an answer from the universe. Now, talk to me about this concept of walking in forgiveness for those of us who might be able to identify with this conversation so far, and maybe walking in forgiveness is a powerful concept we need to know about. What is it? What is it?
It's the ability to um, forgive and release people. You have to release them because it's not hurting them, it's hurting you. Half the time they're not sorry, or they don't even realize the damage that they've done, or um, they can't really face it actually.
Yeah.
When you think about it, like sometimes they cannot face it. The guilt is in the like all of that is so heavy that when they look at you, they can't face it. And so walking in forgiveness is not this whole I forgive you and I'm over it. No, there are times when, because sometimes it's really hard to forgive a person when they're continuously doing the same things, and so the way that I do that is I pray for them. Because it's really hard to stay mad at somebody that you're praying for. Trust me. It's really, really hard. So
Well,
I
that's a
pray.
key. Hold
Yeah.
on. That's a key right there. I think a lot of us, a lot of us are upset with people over things that might have happened in the past or things that are happening right now. And I can't say that we all pray for one another, but we do sometimes try to figure out, well, how do I get over this bitterness that I have inside?
Right.
And what I'm learning from you tonight is one of the ways to do that is to pray for people.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then because like, let me be honest, let me be real honest with you. Sometimes my prayer is, Lord, listen, I don't.
Right.
I know that I'm supposed to, because if I don't forgive, I'm not forgiven. That's huge for me, because I do a lot of stuff that needs to be forgiven. And so I'm like, but you already know, like, I'm weak in that area because right now forgiveness ain't in me. So I need you to help me to get. And so he hears that too. So my prayers aren't always, oh Lord, just help them.
Right.
No, sometimes it's help me to even, Lord, let them repent. But I'm praying.
This is huge.
It's like I'm not gonna pretend like it's just so easy. Sometimes it's God, okay, I don't like it. I don't like them. Help me. And he does. He actually does, because he sees the heart behind it. He also knows what bitterness and resentment, it actually holds you back.
Right.
You can't even present yourself as your best self to the world when you're walking around with bitterness and resentment.
Wow.
So you're not holding them back, you're holding you back.
That's right. That's right.
But it does take for me, I don't know about for anybody else, but for Olivia, it takes the power of God for me to forgive. And he, like, in my weakness, in my weak moments, he's made strong. And so it's like, I'm going to give it. But prayer really helps. Like, it helps me to forgive. So.
When you reference God, I am reminded of the importance of looking at the bigger picture. Seeing yourself from a bird's eye view, seeing yourself from a bird's eye view, and how that enables you to walk in forgiveness. And like you said, you're not walking in forgiveness to be phony,
right,
or to be like, oh, look at me, I'm a saint.
No.
It's about understanding the different ways that you need to speak over your life.
Yes.
God gives you the ability to speak over your life, and sometimes speaking over your life, it looks like praying for your adversaries or who appears to be your enemies, because when you're doing that, then you can't be angry. And so when you're able to speak over your life, then you get your transformation. And see, when we talk about breaking generational curses, and we talk about making our lives different and how much it matters that we make our life different from the generation before us who were mistreated or treated some type of way. This part right here is where you relate to thousands of people across America, because we have to speak our own transformation in our lives. We got to transform. We can't stay the same. We can't keep dealing with the same stuff, walking the same way, and talking the same way. We have to say some new things so that we can get a new outcome, so that we can provide a better life for our children, our descendants. So now, as you graduated from high school, did you graduate from high school?
Actually, I moved out of my house when I was 16 years old. And
wow.
I got pregnant. I lost my first child at 16. And then I was in high school. And by high school, when you move out on your own, you think you're grown, you know. I was working 2 full-time jobs and I was in high school, but it wasn't my priority. And so I got to my senior year, and like I said, I had a mouth on me. And when you grow up in a home where there's nothing but violence and fighting, I didn't start the fights, you know, but I ended them. And so that did not work out well for me. A smart mouth and just the wrong mindset and just thinking you're grown before you're grown. It just did not work out. So my senior year of high school, I actually kind of got expelled because I went off on the wrong teacher for the last time. And I decided I wasn't going to go another year. It didn't make sense to me. But in that time, in that year, I actually got pregnant again, and I lost my son. I ended up having a C-section with no medication. So it was a C-section. I felt everything. And I ended up losing my child. And that was the year I was 17. That was the year I lost my health. I had the C-section, lost my child. I had a massive stroke. I had bleeding on my brain. So I was in the hospital. I'd had the stroke. They didn't know I'd had the stroke. And I was getting, about a month after that, I had like multiple blood clots in my lungs. So in between going from Poplar Bluff to St. Louis back and forth after all this has happened, I'm getting my GED while I'm in the hospital, coughing up blood. I'm like, yeah, well, if y'all get me home 2 weeks, if I could just stay home 2 weeks, I can take this GED test and I'm good. You know, I'm good to go. I'm enrolling college. Boom, I get more blood clots. I'm back in the hospital studying for my test. Get out. And 2 weeks before I had to go back, because I had got out, would get more blood clots, go back 2 weeks later. Get out, get more blood clots 2 weeks later. So that last time, right before the last time, I went and got my GED. And then I was like, y'all can take me back to the hospital. You know? So I was very, very headstrong as a teenager. And so I did not finish high school, but that was because of my own stupid decisions. And I ended up walking through some pretty harsh situations. With the massive stroke, I learned how to walk and talk again, all of that good stuff. And so got out of the hospital. They had me out for like a month, and I got a couple jobs actually, and then went to college. So, yeah.
At the age of 17, you had a stroke.
Yes, I did. A massive stroke. Mm-hmm.
Everybody, if you are feeling what I'm feeling tonight in terms of the gravity of the story that Olivia is sharing, I want you to drop a 1 in the chat, blow the chat up with some reactions, some emojis. I've never heard of anything like this in my life. In my short years here on life, I'm 32. I've never heard of a story like this. I've never heard of a teenager having a stroke. I've never heard of someone having to not only go through childbirth, but trying to get their GED at the same time. Like you're trying to live and avoid death at the same time. You're trying to save your life while nearly losing your life at the same time, with the backdrop of parents who are just in what appears to be just a storm of life. We got to get some reactions in the building. Let's get some hearts, some likes, because this is a warrior that we got in the building tonight. An absolute warrior. Olivia Alford, I appreciate you being here tonight. Everybody sit tight because we got more from her. We are not finished. And I'm eager to know how you were able to get out on the other side of an extremely challenging position in life. You're taking us all with you. Everybody sit tight. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network and our viewership. And we're back. Olivia, how you feeling out there?
I'm good. I'm feeling good.
That's great. We got several ones in the building. The people are feeling you, appreciating you tonight. And B. Wright Jones, she put a couple hearts in the building for you. Pastor Curry did too. And so, I mean, you are really, really, really inspiring us tonight. And this is getting better by the moment. So now you got your GED,
Mhm.
and how did you pull yourself together, and what happened next?
I got married, and these are the decisions that were made, not just because I didn't have that guidance that I needed from a father and my mother, but also because I was headstrong and prideful and just did
Yeah.
not listen.
Hmm.
So let me just let me throw that on me.
Hmm.
And I hadn't dealt with the brokenness, and that's why when I talk to people, I say it's so important to walk through your healing processes and you deal with your brokenness, find your purpose, know who you are before you decide to take a mate with you. Deal with your childhood trauma. And so I got married to my oldest son's dad. I was told I don't have kids. Of course, I don't listen. And I have an 18-year-old now. I actually we ended up divorcing not long after because they was very, very abusive, very toxic and very physically abusive, all of the abuses. Got married again
Hmm.
for the wrong reasons. It was worse in the
Hmm.
abuse. And then kind of sat out for a little bit and then got married again. And it was still abusive. I did not deal with the trauma. I did not deal with the brokenness. And so when you don't deal with that, then you're attracted to what's normal. When you grow up in violence, when you grow up in toxicity, that's what you're attracted. That's normal for you. And
Wow.
so
Hold
it
up.
wasn't.
Hold
I'm
up.
so
Hold
sorry.
up. We have a comment from Emery Curry in the building. He says she humbly solidified the strength and essence of the Black woman. You know, that is what I see. I see that through it all, you were able to prevail. And this is such an inspirational story tonight. A lot of people, when they see someone who's 17, 18, 20, in the throes of life, in the thick of it, like they talk like to
Right.
talk
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
they say stuff to you like, "Oh, you're not gonna make it. Oh,
Yeah.
your life is over before it even got started.
Yes. Absolutely.
You
Yes.
you can't you can't do anything." They say stuff like, "Oh, look at your friends. You ain't
Hmm.
nobody."
Right.
I just saw you yesterday doing some nonsense. You ain't going no place.
Yes, they wrote me off too. I
Completely.
mean, yeah. So
Completely. Carrie Ann Raphael says truth.
yes.
And so, talk to me a little bit about how we let our children go at 17 years old. A lot of time our children they're self-confident as they should be. You're on a high frequency at 17 years
Oh
old,
yeah.
18, a real high frequency.
Yes.
But I think it's a tragedy that we think it's okay for a 17-year-old to be out there, by themselves.
Right.
And what a dysfunctional world, or portion of America, if you will, where no one bats an eye when you say I'm signing myself out of school at 16 and 17. Oh, I'll
Exactly. Yeah.
just,
Move
I'm going to
out.
leave the hospital and take my GED. Oh, I'm moving on. I'm having children and getting married.
Yeah.
You know, um, I think that we let our children go too early. It seems like, oh, you're 17, you grown. Talk to me about your perspective of the 17 and even 18-year-old, being that your years were not easy. Is a 17 and 18-year-old a grown adult? Are they grown?
No, absolutely not. I have an 18-year-old. He just turned 18, right? And I look at him and I'm like, how in the world did
Yeah,
that even like I'm still having to do so much for him.
yeah,
And his mindset, like you're not grown.
yeah,
You don't have the mentality, you're not ready for this world.
yeah. And
And
it's
so
not your fault.
no, you're a kid. You should
Yeah.
be. He's getting ready to go to FAMU next month,
Oh,
and I'm having to
congratulations.
do yeah. So I'm like having to do so much for him, and I'm like all these things I had to do as a 16-year-old out here trying to, and he is an 18-year-old. He's 60. He thinks he knows it all of that stuff, and so that him focusing on like there are certain things that he should be focused on, and it's not trying to live the life of an adult like I had to.
That's
It's
right.
not okay. He does not have the mentality, you know? And
Mhm.
so I see so many like young men and young women, and they're just like, they're on their own. They're actually on their own. And we have like, and I'm just going to put it out there, but where is the guidance? You know, like we have so many older, because I'm 38 now. So
Mhm.
like we have so many older people that are still trying to be young and trying to be hip and trying to do
Mhm.
all this, and they're not teaching, they're not mentoring, they're not bringing people into their lives. And so you're creating a whole new generation, and you're saying, oh, these kids are this and that, but they don't have anybody to look to,
That's right. That's
you
right.
know?
That's right. I have had conversation with people who let me know from firsthand experience that their parents walking with them hand in hand,
Mm-hmm.
teaching them, investing in them, saving money on their behalf, helping them build their
Yes.
credit, and
Yes.
safely placing them in their own home with their own
Yes.
vehicle at
Yes.
30 years old
Yeah. Yeah.
is the greatest thing that has
Mm-hmm.
ever happened in their lives.
Yes.
And then I can clearly see the reality that there are a lot of us who believe that an 18-year-old is now capable of going out into the world, making all the right decisions,
No.
getting a job, definitely never coming back home,
Right.
and avoiding prison and
Yeah.
becoming a positive, productive citizen. And
Yeah.
what we're normalizing tonight is that is a very risky
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
unsafe mentality for us to have in our communities.
Yes.
17 and 18-year-olds are not equipped emotionally
No. No.
or intellectually
Or financially.
or financially. Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
down the line.
Right.
To get out there and do things right. We have to make the investment of helping each other out. And
Right.
hey, let's make it even more realistic. I'm not saying you as one person raise your child until they're 30. I'm saying we need to
Right.
be a community.
Right.
Everybody pitches in.
We need a village.
We need a village.
Yeah.
Everybody has to look after one another closely, at least until the age of 30, if we're ever
Exactly.
going to get
Yeah.
anywhere. All
Yes.
right. So now you get married, and whether it be for the wrong reasons or not, you're looking
Yeah.
for love.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Insecurity. It was, yeah. So I was
what-
21, 23, and 25. So
Mhm,
back to back to back. And it was for security, for the wrong things. I really dealt with codependency. I
mhm.
didn't know what that was until 2018. I didn't know that was a thing. Therapy is your friend. Jesus and therapy.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with therapy. But I had my youngest son who is almost 11 now. And so he was another, they said, don't get pregnant. I didn't listen. I won't get pregnant again. I'm done. But the third marriage is where my life changed. And I'm not going to pretend like I pulled myself out. I didn't. There's because of my mindset, how I grew up, the brokenness, and all of that. All I knew was there needed to be change. What I came to, it was like no matter what they did, I had to realize I'm the common denominator. So something has to change,
Mhm.
right? And so in that was when, and that was that was June of 2018. And that's when God decided to change the trajectory of my life. And when I tell you it was hell, because you have to walk through processes of healing. You actually, there were times I had to go back and face and deal with what I had to walk through from the age of 3 to 13. And that's scary. But
Yeah.
it also helped me understand why my mom couldn't protect me. You can't protect you if you've not healed, and you can't protect your own self. So it helped me to understand their brokenness and why they couldn't be there. It helped me forgive and understand. And then you have grace that comes with that to forgive and let go. But I actually had to walk through that. I had to walk. I did therapy, um, but I also had to deal with me, because they were not just they were not the only toxic people. I had toxic traits too. I still have blind spots. You know, I'm
Mhm.
not toxic, I'm healthy, but
Right.
I still have things that I need to deal with that I had to work on. And so there was so much, and it's really hard when you're so used to walking around with a smile on your face and telling everybody you're fine because you're strong. You know, I had to break out of that too. It's okay to cry. And we as Black women, Black men, people in general, it's okay. You don't always have to be strong. Like, it's okay to cry. There's strength in that, you know.
This is so powerful. This is
And
so
I had to,
powerful. So many of us. And when I say us, I'm always observing people. I'm always
yeah.
talking to people, listening to people, and being the people.
Hmm.
And there are a lot of us who are um, showing up to work, whether it be corporate America or you got a job or you run a business, and on the surface you're trying to make sure that you look perfectly fine, but
Right.
underneath you've never dealt with yourself,
Yeah.
and that's killing you.
Yes.
And what you're saying is that you had to make the decision that even though you were capable of putting that smile on your face
Hmm.
and doing and hustling, that you
Yeah.
still needed to go and work on yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
that's the booster. That's the booster for millions of people across America tonight.
Yeah.
Is that you have to make the decision to go and work on yourself.
Yes.
Realize all the people that you saw who were conflicted, it's also on you. Like they
Hmm.
say, oh, the devil been on my family for
Hmm.
generations.
Yeah.
The devil is on you too.
Exactly. You know, and you
You
might
got to
be
get
the
them
one
off.
that's supposed to break the cycle. Like, and
Yeah.
I recognize that I am the one in my family that is breaking multiple cycles. And
Wow.
so my fight is going to be harder
Yep.
because I'm the cycle breaker. And
Hmm.
I've seen it manifest in my kids' life. There are things that they did not suffer through because
Hmm.
I fought that. You know, I fought those giants. I remember going, like, I would go to church and I'd have like this big old smile on my face, and I was guest services. So of course you got to smile, say hi, show
Right.
up.
Yeah.
And then I
Yep.
would go home and fight depression, fight anxiety, fight like barely getting out of bed, you know, but it
Mm.
was so worth the fight. And when I tell people, when you walk through your healing process, when you evolve, like true transformation and change and transformation is, you don't look the same anymore. You don't talk the same. You don't act the same. You don't think the same. None of that. That's when you know there's true change. But it's like so worth it. But it's gonna be hell, and it's gonna be hard,
But
and
you
you're
said
gonna
it's
have to
worth it.
fight. It is so worth it.
I
It
want
is
you.
so worth it.
I want you to take 20 seconds and talk to a young man or a young woman out there who needs to do the work, but they're afraid
Okay,
of the
so
deep. Go ahead. Yeah.
so like in order for you to undergo true change, you've got to deal with the root. If you don't deal with the root, everybody wants to be in their bag. Everybody wants to be this. Everybody wants to be that. But you're not going to be any of that. You can't even be a great leader until you deal with you.
Mm.
You can't be your best self until you deal with the triggers, the things that you got to become self-aware. You can't even be your authentic self until you deal with the brokenness. And
Mm.
so it is totally worth it for you to show up as your best self. So just go through the process. I am
Okay.
sitting here as a living
A
witness.
living
Yeah.
example. All
Yes.
right. Now you created a business called 38 Expressions, and you actually have done several phenomenal professional works. Can you
Mhm.
talk about those?
Yes, 38 Expressions is a written media company, and I specialize in writing, creating, editing, ghostwriting, proofreading, all of that good stuff. Business card designs, so all of that good stuff. You can visit my website to find out more. And then I have 4 magazines. I'm the content coordinator and writer for a
Wow.
national. Yeah, for a national publishing company, and then I have a 9 to 5. I'm an administrative assistant at a nonprofit, and I am a project coordinator for the Women's Voice platform for Women Wednesday. So I have 4 situations in their situations
Right.
that, you know.
Talk to
So
us about the Women's Wednesdays platform. What's that about?
yeah, so I'm gonna actually, it's a platform created to build collaboration, visibility, and educate like the women. We help each other succeed in our endeavors. So it's one city for Tally. We're supporting women. They're women's words part of that is I choose women that's in the community that are beginning writers, intermediate, or experienced, and we publish your work. So we're bringing visibility. We're providing a platform for women to succeed in their business endeavors. So
Mhm.
basically.
So now, how can women get involved with this? If there are women out there who are ready to express themselves,
Mhm.
and they see this as an opportunity to develop personally,
Yes.
how do they get involved with the Women's Words platform?
You can actually reach out to me at Olivia Alford, www@gmail.com. Or you can go on my Facebook profile, and it has so much there. You can also go to womenwednesdays.com, and you can sign up to become a member, or go to 38expressions at gmail.com. Just reach out to me.
Mhm.
And all of my information is on my websites, it's on my Facebook, it's everywhere. And I'm open. DM me, whatever you want to do, and I'll break
Mhm.
it down for you in detail. So,
You know, you speak about how you began to write and express yourself
yeah.
and the value of that. Can you talk about how that elevated the quality of life when you began to write, and did you ever begin to speak, and how did that advance the quality of life? What's the value of expressing yourself through writing and speaking?
Through written articulation. After I had the stroke, I kind of had trouble with speaking. Um, I guess I don't have it anymore. But with my words, I've always loved writing, and I would journal when I was little. I would journal as a teen, and I could just express myself with my words. But I also had a passion for writing, and it's so easy. Like, I don't have one style. I can write in any style,
Mm,
and I just sit down and the words just pour out. And so now that I learned that that's a skill and a talent that I have.
yeah.
The editing, I'm able to look at somebody's stuff and say, oh no, let's say that different. Or even ghostwriting. Like, you don't have to send me a draft. I can get on the phone with you and you talk, and I can take everything that you said, even if it's jumbled, and write that out and bring life to that. And so that's a gift. I didn't go to school for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're learning through experience and really discovering
Mhm.
a natural given talent in real
Yes.
time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What advice do you have for people out there who write, who they've chosen writing and speaking as a medium of presenting themselves? What tips do you have for them?
As a writer, I would say, don't hesitate. And if you don't, like, if you're not confident, get an editor, that will help you. But don't let not being good enough be the reason you don't get started, or don't hesitate to tell your story and be your authentic self in your writing, because not everybody has the same style. Not everybody wants to read the same thing.
Mm,
In speaking, I would say, never. One thing I've learned recently is not to say, "Oh, I just write, I don't speak."
mm,
I learned to stop saying that.
mm,
And you get up, and I pray before I talk. And I'm like, whatever I need to say, let that come out. And whatever I don't need to say, let me shut up.
mm,
And so that's for me. But whatever you do, do it well, do it with excellence, you know,
mm.
and then grow. And if you feel like you don't speak well, but you know that that's a gift that you have, then get around people that do speak well and learn from them, because that's what I'm doing. So,
How do you identify a good editor, and even more than that, how do you know that something that you wrote is good?
normally for me, because I have to edit my own work as the editor of the magazines and the writer, I have to edit my own stuff. So I do run it by other people. A good editor, they they recognize let me just say, a good editor is able to take your stuff and reorganize it for you without actually needing you to do much with that. When they give it back to you, you're like, oh wow, that's great. They're the grammatical errors, they understand those. They have the right wording, all of that. Yeah, that's all I want to
If an
say.
editor rearranges your thoughts and makes corrections, does that make it less of your work?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. No, I because I do that with a lot of people's work. Um, a lot of people's work, and you have to be secure in yourself before you give yourself to an editor.
Yeah.
And my question before I ask is, listen, do you want the proofread version or do you want the edited version? Because the edited version gonna have a lot of red lines in it. But if you want the proofread, I'm still gonna do an amazing job, but I'm just gonna leave it yours. So you gotta be confident when you give it. Even me as an editor, I have to be confident when I give my work to somebody else. You know.
And
So.
do you ever worry about somebody stealing your concepts or stealing your ideas, and how do you deal with that?
Actually, I don't worry about that. If you steal my concepts and my idea, that's nice.
Oh,
I
it
think that's
impresses you.
great.
Okay, is that
Yes.
flattering? That's
Yes,
flattering.
I think that's great because it means I made an impression on you and you needed to use that because I got more stuff in me. So
Right.
it doesn't bother me.
Wow.
But I do have copyright. I do know how to protect my stuff. But if you use it, because I use people's stuff, but I give them credit, you know. But if you use it, then that just lets me know I've made an impact, you know. So please use it. That's what it's for. So
Now I'm going to shake the room up a little bit.
okay.
Where is the money in all of this? How do you make money as someone who's writing and getting into expression? Where's the money in it?
Oh, I charge. I don't edit for free. I don't write for free. I charge by the hour. I charge depending on the job. Trust me, I make great. I'm good, and I'm not cheap. I'm affordable, but I don't decrease my prices. Either
Wow.
you because I know my work and I know it's great, and if you can't pay, then I'm actually going to refer you to someone else. But I'm not going to decrease my prices. Actually.
Talk to me about that. I think this is a point where we can all, lend an ear when it comes to demanding your worth
Yes.
and really being fruitful in that.
Mhm.
So, where did you gain the audacity? How did you figure out the value of what you were doing? How did you put a number on it?
Well, because I write for a publishing company, and because at the nonprofit that I work for, that's what I create. I edit, I create, I write, I do quite a bit of that. And so I know what I'm paid. I know that my work is great. When I get it back, you're great. My turnaround time is great. You get it to me, you're getting that back. I'm not taking 2 weeks to do something. We
Mm,
have deadlines, and that matters. So the service that I provide, the excellence that I provide, knowing that I am gifted and I am talented and I take my time and I do it right. We revise, we do all of that. I know my worth and I know the time that it takes. And I know that what I offer is great, you
that's
know.
right.
And so you're going to pay for great, right? I'm going to pay for great. And
Mhm.
so if you're not able to pay for that, let's just refer you out. But I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Yeah,
you
that's right.
gotta in business, you really do need to know your worth. You need to know your value. You need to know where you add value, but you also need to know what you can't do
Hmm.
because we can't do everything. We
That's
really
right.
can't. You know.
That's right.
So, um, yeah, yeah,
It is very important to get value in exchange for that which you are producing. And I just want to also say that when you write something and you get it edited and you get it refined, then you have
hmm
an opportunity to give something to your public that's timeless.
yes,
And when you do that, that is like the winning ticket. That is like,
yes,
the grand prize, the big victory, the championship, because people are now going to be reading your work for
hmm
years and years and years and
yes,
years and years to come.
yes,
So, I mean, it's really one of the biggest businesses ever. We know you
hmm
learn 85% of what you know through media. And so if
exactly,
you get into media, you're onto something. If you provide excellent media,
yes.
then you're doing God's work. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And so
excellence, working with excellence.
yeah,
Yeah,
working with excellence. So
yes,
everybody be encouraged. Be a communicator. Be expressive. There's money in it. Okay,
yes,
get
yes, there
out
is.
there and hire Olivia Alford. Consult with her and make your expressions even better. Why'd you name your company 38 Expressions?
Well, 38, I turned 38 in April, and that's when I actually transitioned to an LLC. I was released to actually transition to that. And I feel like 38 is the time where because like I just kind of surfaced,
Mm-hmm.
So 38 is when all the hard work, God has presented it to the world.
That's right.
Like he's like raised me up, and it's like, okay, now it's time to bring you out of hiding,
Oh,
So that's the story behind the 38. And then I have over 38 ways to express your media, but that's the
got you.
real 38. So
All right. All right. So we're down to the final 30 seconds of the show.
okay.
I want to know, what is the legacy that you intend to leave here on Earth? And what is your message to the young ladies out there?
Um, I feel like I'll know that I will have succeeded because I'll carry out my purpose, and I'll reach the audience that I was created to reach. And yeah,
What is
I don't want to die empty.
leaving it all out there?
Yes, I don't want to die empty, and I will not die empty.
What is success? What is survival to you?
Survival is outlasting all of the things that have come, like the hardships, the circumstances that have come against you, doing whatever it takes to survive that, because survival doesn't always mean that to survive and to thrive is two different things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the ability to outlast anything that is, coming your way. So
we're down to the final 15 seconds of the show. What is success to you?
Success is living out my purpose, dying empty, reaching the people I was meant to reach.
Dying empty. That is so powerful. Being selfless enough
to
leave it all out there on the canvas on the canvas of life. What is greatness to you?
Greatness is the ability to serve in the capacity that another needs to be served in, not just what I think it should be, especially someone who can do nothing for you.
Olivia Alford, I want to let you know that we've listened to your story today, and your growth and journey has been very moving tonight. We are giving you your respect tonight on this episode of America's Next Motivator. And we're giving you your crown today while you're still alive to receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. Put your crown emojis into the chat. See, we got one from Chastity.
Thank you, Chastity.
We are letting you know, letting the world know that you, Olivia Alford, you are America's Next Motivator.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Crowns from Emery Curry as well. Thanks
you
for stopping by tonight, all right?
Absolutely.
Crowns, crowns, crowns. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you got to do, just like you did tonight, is stop by and pick it up.